Alright, so figured I'd do another one of these videos just for the hell of it, and that is another what-if scenario. And this time we're going to be taking another Warhammer faction and putting it in another universe. And this, as you can see, what if the Necrons existed in the Star Trek universe? I thought this one would be pretty cool to do. The Necrons, as most of you guys would know, if you've been on this channel for a while, you know that the Necrons are my favorite Warhammer 40k faction, and to have them in the Star Trek universe would be a pretty fascinating idea. Out of all of the other races, I think, like I've talked about, like how like a lot of people say, oh, the Tau would fit right in with Star Trek in the Star Trek universe. I'm like, yeah, as enemies, because if you really think about it, the Tau can really work. They would not work with the Federation. And I'll just power run through this real quick. The Tau are super expansionist. They will take planets left and right if you're not looking. And their greater good is kind of based on a lot of lies. If you really squint hard and look at, aside from the Far Side Enclave, the Tau are pretty nasty in their own right. They're just good in comparison to everyone else in the Warhammer universe. If they were in the Star Trek universe, it would be like, oh, the Federation and the Tau would be at odds. And that's putting it mildly. But let's talk about another race they would be at odds with. And that is the Necrons. The Necrons, the Necrons in the Star Trek universe, I can think of no other race, aside from the Tyranids and Chaos, that would probably bring the Star Trek universe so much pain and grief. Like, legit, it would be nothing short of just a nightmare scenario. So let's say, for sake of argument, that the Necrons in this continuity, it's very much like your typical Necrons, where they conquered the universe, things happened, they went into hibernation, and now they're slowly waking up. So how I imagine the Necrons in the Star Trek... Now, you have to remember that one of the big things here is that, on a technological level, it's not like with the Imperium or the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Tau and Eldar are the only ones really technologically advanced enough to even try to compete with the Necrons, even though that's kind of waxing and waning. Here, the races in the Star Trek universe are all very technologically advanced. But having said that, they are not on the level of the Necrons. They are, like, it's very clear, even by Warhammer standard, or even Star Trek standard, the Necrons, and I'm saying this as a Star Trek fan, the Necrons have technology that has far surpassed it has far surpassed everyone here. But now, these ships, like, the weaponry in the Star Trek universe can actually deal some real damage to the Necrons. So, let's talk about that. So, I think how the Necrons would probably wake up, it depends on where they are. Like, they've conquered the whole galaxy, and it depends, like, maybe I would imagine a tomb world wakes up in a Federation colony. They wake up, they wreck shit, and now that's the Federation's first encounter of the Necrons. And I think, like, the Federation is going to do what the Federation does best, which is basically open up and be like, hey, it depends on, like, what Federation ships arrive. I imagine that, you know, they would probably arrive after hearing that the Necron home, like, the Tomb World and all the Necrons in that dynasty killed everyone in the civilization. But I think there would be, like, a actual legit talk of, like, well, they're ancient. They probably thought, like, they're an ancient race that has been in hibernation for God knows how long, and now they're just waking up and finding all of these intruders on their planet. They were just maybe they were just defending themselves. So the Federation, I think, would come in the form of talk softly and carry a big stick. In that, like, maybe 2 or 3 Federation ships would arrive out of warp and be like, hey, this is let's say it's the Enterprise, like, this is Captain Jean-Luc Picard. We are, this is the USS Enterprise. We represent the United Federation of Planets. We understand that, you've committed a hostile act, but we understand that you are an ancient race. Maybe you were defending yourself. We wish to speak to you. And the Pharaon of whatever planet, of whatever, dynasty this is going to be like, get the fuck out of here. This is our galaxy. I'm sorry. United Federation of Galaxies. Guys, did you hear that? Get the fuck out before we kill you all. And yeah, so the big thing also is that there is a bit of an edge here with a little bit of more advanced technology, is that if war happened with the Federation and thereby, a war with the Klingons, or even I would imagine Tomb Worlds in the Cardassian and Romulan space as well. They conquered the whole fucking galaxy. There's Tomb Worlds everywhere. So what would probably happen is that the Federation, as well as other races, would probably design technology to scan specifically for a tomb world, and make sure that a colony they're already on has been made as a tomb world and ready to wake up, and thereby they can attack the Necrons before they have a chance to wake up, whether that be with new technology. And then you also have other races, like I would imagine the Romulans, Cardassians, and God help us, the Ferengi would probably go into the fucking tomb worlds, and go into these tombs, these massive crypts, and start stealing shit, thereby waking them up. Because of course they would, of course, especially the Ferengi. You think the Ferengi would be like, it's terrifying, but I bet we could run in and run out real fast. It'd be like that meme with the ducks where they're all running and then they run out. That's how I imagine the Ferengi would do if they were trying to rob a tomb world and then inadvertently wake it up and get all the civilization killed on it. But the thing of it is that if you wake up enough Necrons, now granted, another thing is that the Pharaons and the other dynasties don't really like each other. There are some united ones, but the one Necron, two Necrons that they would probably, the Federation and all the other races of the Star Trek universe would have to make a priority of, this guy cannot be allowed to live. And those are, of course, the Silent King and Imhotep the Stormlord. I think the Silent King would be a threat in of his own right, because he's the king of the Necrons, and he's uniting them. But Imhotep would probably be a high, I'm going to make this this reasoning and follow along, is that I think Imhotep would be the bigger threat to the galaxy than Sautek, because Imhotep was dead set on reconquering the galaxy and uniting all these other dynasties and pharaons under his whim. And if you didn't, well, you're fucking dead. And Imhotep, is a super aggressive expansionist. And not only that, and you may be thinking, oh well, the other factions of Star Trek could overlook the situation. Like, they could even just be like, oh, they're fighting each other, let's just stand back and let them fight. That good old Dr. Serizawa let them fight kind of mentality. And to which I say, that is the worst idea ever, because the warring dynasties of the Necrons tore apart entire systems. So do you really think whatever empire is caught in the middle of a Necron spat, do you think they're just gonna allow the Necrons to just keep... It's not the Warhammer universe. There's order here. It's not I almost said Necron. It's the Warhammer universe. There's order here. There is legit order in this galaxy. So there's gonna be other ships that are going to be these other factions are going to be trying to fight off the Necrons in the middle of this war, or get people out before their planet gets killed. Not to mention, the Necrons are still vastly more technologically advanced than... granted, a lot of the races are very advanced, and they'll probably try to steal Necron technology, but I have yet to see, any race create god-killing technology on the same level as the Necrons in the Star Trek universe. Yeah, there's weapons that can kill god-like beings, but at the same time, Necrons design weapons to kill their gods. So I imagine beings like Q, the Organians, they're going to be on the Necrons hit list, because no gods, no gods, only Necrons. So the Q continuum is going to be oh, yeah. do not think for a second that they would not like. Do you think they're really going to tolerate the Necrons are going to abide by the Q continuum? Really? They enslaved and killed the rest of them, and what left of the Catan shards, yeah, it's not a great life. So, the other major thing we have to talk about is, of course, the Borg. Now, the Borg, oh boy. Could the Borg assimilate the Necrons? I don't think that's possible. I think the Necron technology itself, like the necrodermis, would kind of shield it from that. We have seen that it's the necrodermis and the Necrons themselves are resistant to, like, you know, being consumed by the Tyranids or corruption from chaos, but I don't think it would be susceptible to assimilation. I think it's just too advanced. But again, the Borg could easily, like, the Borg are also always evolving, so they could evolve to a point where they try enough times of assimilating Necrons, they finally get to do it. So there's that. Sorry about the fucking chair. Anyway, so that's another thing that I do think the Borg are capable. The Borg are, I would say, capable, but it's going to take a lot of tries to really, like, get any results. And the Necrons are not going to be cool with that. The other thing is, since a lot of the Necrons aren't going to be united on a united Imperial front unless they're under Emotech or the Silent King, a lot of them could be swayed to make alliances with other factions. Like, I could see the Romulans trying to make an alliance, or it really depends on the Pharaons. Most of them are pretty xenophobic, so I doubt that would happen, but there are going to probably be a few that would be like, all right, what do you got in terms of trade, and I won't wipe your race out with a thought. I could definitely see, like, Trazyn having a ball in the Star Trek universe. Just Trazyn just kind of like, he's going around stealing shit left, like all this ancient technology left and right. And what was that Tiny Tim song that was playing in the background of SpongeBob, where he's, you know, making all the... I just imagine that song, that Tiny Tim song, playing in the background as, like, Trazyn's just going along, stealing stuff left and right across the Star Trek universe. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Like, here's the short answer. Nothing good would come of this. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you think it would be like if the Necrons existed in the Star Trek universe? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.